Yeah, Radharani Mati, whenever you're ready, you can start, Mati.
Sure, Vijay. Hare Krishna to all dear devotees. Please accept my humble obeisances. All goes to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrutyam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवते उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी. Today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 5. Prahlad Maharaj, the saintly son of Hiranyakashipu. Text 1. The great saint Narada Muni said, the demons headed by the Hiranyakashipu accepted Sukracharya as their priest for the ritualistic ceremonies. Sukracharya two sons, Sananda and Amraka, lived near Hiranyakashipu's place. Text 2. Prahlad Maharaj was already educated in the devotional life, but when his father sent him to those two sons of Sukracharya to be educated, they accepted him at their school along with the other sons of the Asuras. Text 3. Prahlad certainly heard and recited the topics of the politics and economics taught by the teachers, but he understood that the political philosophy involves considering someone a friend and someone else an enemy, and thus he did not like it. Text 4. My dear king, Yudhishthira, once upon a time, the king of the demons, Hiranyakashipu, took his son Prahlad on his lap and very affectionately inquired, my dear son, please let me know what you think is the best of all the subjects you have studied from your teachers. Text 5. Prahlad Maharaj replied, O best of the Asuras, king of the demon, as far as I have learned from my spiritual master, any person who has accepted a temporary body and the temporary household life is certainly mm, embraced by anxiety because of having fallen in a dark well where there is no water but only suffering. One should give up this position and go to the forest Vana. More clearly, one should go to Vrindavan, where only Krishna consciousness is prevalent and should thus take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Text 6. Narada Muni continued. When Prahlad Maharaj spoke about the path of the self realization in the devotional service, thus being faithful to the camp of his father's enemies, Hiranyakashipu, the king of the demon, heard Prahlad's words and he laughingly said, thus is intelligent of the children spoils by the words of the enemies. Text 7. Hiranyakashipu advised his assistants, my dear demons, give complete protection to this boy at the Gurukula where he is instructed so that his intelligence will not be further influenced by the Vaishnavas who may go there in the discuss. Text 8. When Hiranyakashipu's servants brought the boy Prahlad back to the Gurukul, the place where the Brahmanas taught the boys, the priest of the demon Sananda and Amraka pacified him with very mild voice and affectionate words. They inquired from him as follows. Text 9. Dear son Prahalad, all peace and good fortune unto you. Kindly do not speak lies. Just reply with the truth. These boys you see are not like you, for they do not speak in an deviant way. How have you learned these instructions? How has your intelligence been spoiled in this way? Text 10. O best of your family, has his pollution of your intelligence been bought about by you or by the enemies? We are all your teachers and are very eager to hear about this. Please tell us the truth. Text 11. Prahlad Maharaj replied, let me offer my respectable obeisances unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whose eternal energy has created the distinctions of my friend and my enemy by the uh, deluding the intelligence of men. Indeed, I am now actually experiencing this, although I have previously heard of it from my authoritative sources. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, thank you so much, Radharamati. Hare Krishna. So, I'll offer brief praise and we can get started. Om Ajnanatmirandasya Gnananjana Shalakaya Chekshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nitinamini Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesh Shunyavadi Paschatya Desatarini Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Okay, today's we're starting the new chapter, fifth chapter. So far we covered the first four chapters of the seventh canto. So where the conversation progressed to Narada Muni and Yudhishthira Maharaj conversation. That is the conversation most of the entire 10th, 7th canto is based on the conversation between Narada Muni and Yudhishthira Maharaj. So in the first four chapters, we essentially heard how Supreme Lord is impartially partial like that. And then we heard about how brief pastime of Jaya Vijaya coming in three lives. And then in this particular yuga, they came as Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha like that. And how they're troubling Prahlad Maharaj. Hiranyakashipu troubles Prahlad Maharaj like that. So that's how the discussion started. And then later it progressed to how Hiranyakasipu gave knowledge of the soul to the uh, to his mother and also to the relatives. And then we also heard how Hiranyakasipu did austerities to please Lord Brahma, and Lord Brahma came before him and gave him all the benedictions that he asked, which he thought as an indirect way of getting immortality, that he will never die like that. So he became so powerful, so he started uh, troubling all the different living entities, including the demigods also, and he started living in Indraloka. We heard like that. So now, in the last chapter, Narad Muni also describes to Yudhishthira Maharaj uh, how Prahlad Maharaj has wonderful character, like that, wonderful qualities, and then he describes how Hiranyakasipu will have enmity towards Prahlad Maharaj, like that, and he will be attempting to kill him like that. So at the end of the last chapter, we heard how uh, Yudhishthira Maharaj asked the question to Nadamani. Oh, really? How come? Generally, fathers are very affectionate to the sons, and that too Prahlad Maharaj seems to have such a wonderful qualities. How come his father Hiranyakasipu was dealing with him like this? Like that, Yudhishthira Maharaj asked the question in the end of the last chapter. So this chapter onwards, Narad is continuing to describe how that happened, how that enmity developed for Hiranyakasipu towards Prahlad Maharaj like that. So that's what he started to describe. And then he starts to describe in this particular chapter, he will describe Prahlad Maharaj wonderful character, among other things. So that is the highlight of this chapter, at least first section of verses at least. And then next coming up chapters, 6 and 7 are very favorite for many devotees. Like they are teachings of Prahlad Maharaj. Some teachings of Prahlad Maharaj are covered in this chapter also. We'll hear starting last verse for today, 11th verse onwards. So Monday class also will be nice because you'll see more teachings of Prahlad Maharaj from 12th verse onwards also. So focusing on Prahlad Maharaj's wonderful character and mood, we can learn several lessons from this section today. So we'll continue going into the verses now. In the text number 1, Narad Muni starts to answer Yudhishthira Maharaj. He said, he starts to give an introduction saying that um, Now remember where this train is going is going to elaborate how come Hiranyakashipu is eh, developed enmity towards Prahlad Maharaj. That's where it is going. Yeah. And then I'll continue with the rest of the pastime, how Hiranyakashipu was killed and all that. So basically, Narada Muni describes how Hiranyakashipu accepted Sukracharya as his guru, as his priest for doing ritualistic ceremonies like that. And Sukracharya has two sons. Their name are Sanda and Amarka. In fact, devotees describe Sanda means bull, it seems. And then Amarka means monkey and bull, like that, it seems. So they also live near Hiranyakashipu's palace. Why did they live near the Hiranyakashipu's palace? Because their father is living near Hiranyakashipu's palace. Why his father is living near Hiranyakashipu's palace? Because he's the priest, so he wants to be there readily available like that. So now, in the purport, Prabhupada gives one important lesson for us. He says, actually, um, Sukracharya, being a Brahmana, should not have accepted the priesthood for a atheistic demon like Hiranyakashipu. Why? Because Brahmanas are meant to be a guru for those people who are interested in spirituality, who are interested in going back to spiritual world like that. Not for others who are just wanting to enjoy material life like that. So that is the principle is sharing here. So, but Sukracharya name itself indicates that he is interested in obtaining benefits for his sons, Prabhupada writes in the purport. So basically, that means Sukracharya is materially motivated to make money, to be maintained by the king like that. In the olden days, Brahmanas are not meant to work for anybody. That means Brahmanas are maintained by by kings like that properly. So, but his motivation is itself to get maintained by king. But Brahmanas are meant to have a uh, mentality of cultivating spiritual life and sharing their spiritual knowledge and wisdom through their experience, personal example, and wisdom sharing also like that. Not like how can I get more money? How can I become good to this guy so that he'll give more money? Not like that. So that's what we are hearing here. So one of the things we can learn also from as a devotees, practicing devotees is we take shelter of a guru, not to get more money, not to get good health, not to get some material benefit, but we take shelter of a guru so that we can progress in our spiritual life in terms of spiritual understanding, spiritual realization, and spiritual practice, and ultimately to develop our relationship with Krishna. That is one lesson we can learn from that verse. Going to second verse is still continuing the introduction of this section. Narad Muni is speaking to Yudhishthira Maharaj. He's saying, Prahlad Maharaj was already educated in devotional life. How? We'll hear later on. But already educated in devotional life. But his father, Hiranyakashipu, what did he do? He sent him to school again. What school? The school that is run by sons of Sukracharya, Sanda and Amarka. So they were the main teachers of the school basically. So they accepted him in the school along with all the other sons of Asuras or demons like that. Then text number 3, Prahlada. So now Prahlada's school life is being described a little bit now. Prahlada went to school and he heard the topics that his teachers are telling, the sons of Sukracharya, Sanda, Marka are telling, and he even recited the topics also. The topics belong to like politics and economics like that. But um, he did not like one thing. What is that thing he didn't like? Is described. He understood the political philosophy involves considering somebody as a friend, somebody as an enemy. That means, oh, they are from my party, they're my friends. They're from opposite party, they're my enemies. That that principles of dealing with people with the conception of this is friend, this is enemy. That's what Prahlad Maharaj did not like, it seems, even though they were teaching that all that in the school like that. So, so two primary things we can learn from here. One is uh, one important thing is even though Prahlad Maharaj is in the circumstance of being able to take association of the teachers who are demoniac in nature, who have the wrong conception of life, material conception of life, who do not have a good conception about spiritual life, even though he's circumstantially like that, but he's perfectly spiritually situated and is not taking their association. What does not taking the association means? So whenever we are around non-devotees, we don't invest our heart in such a way that we take on their aspirations, we take on their desires, we take on their goals in life like that. So that is very important as devotees to accept, be sheltered in. That can happen when we are sheltered in Supreme Lord's uh, mercy, and when we shoot it in a daily regular sadhana in the morning. When we do that, then even though we're going to interact with non-devotees, we don't accept their desires, their goals, their aspirations like that. So that's one thing we can learn from here from Prahlad Maharaj. Another thing Prabhupada is emphasizing in this purport is the principle of friends and enemies that he talked about. Nardamani talked about here in this verse, which is devotees do not discriminate. Oh, he's my friend, he's an enemy like that. Why? Why is that like that? Because devotees see everybody as a part and parcel of Supreme Lord Krishna. That means devotees see everybody as a servant of Krishna like that. So in that sense, we're all servants of Krishna. So there is one common point of vision. Devotee has spiritual vision. That's why he sees everybody equally. So no matter how somebody is there, nobody how ultimately we're all servants of Krishna. We're equal in that sense. Like that is a scene. That is the point Prabhupada is highlighting in the purport like that. So and then what does he do? He tries to educate everybody in Krishna consciousness with that understanding that everybody is servant of Krishna. Oh, they're not serving Krishna now. Okay, let me help him. They're not directly serving Krishna now. So let me help them to serve in Krishna like that. So that's what we can learn from this particular verse and purport. Now going to text number 4, Narad Muni is still speaking to Yudhishthira Maharaj. He's saying, once upon a time, Hiranyakasipu, what did he do? He took, he called Prahlad, my dear Prahlad, please come, sit on my lap like that. And he very, very affectionately asked his son Prahlad Maharaj. What did he ask? My dear son, please let me know what you think is the best of all the subjects you have studied from your teachers. So, from Hiranyakasipu's point of view, he is thinking, my son is going to school every day. He's staying in the school of Gurukula of Shakracharya. So, in that school, let me ask, what is he learning? So, mm, his thought process was that I'll give him an opportunity to speak instead of asking a pointed question. What did you learn about politics? What did you learn about economic development? Instead of asking a pointed, closed question, he asked a simple, open-ended question. What do you think is the best thing that you learned from your teachers? From Hiranyakashipu perspective, he was thinking, I'll give opportunity for my son to speak some sweet words. Like that, he was asking the question, just to engage in relationship. So then, uh, but what he got a response is a shocker to Hiranyakashipu. That will come in the next verse like that. So another thing we can learn from here is, Prabhupada is writing in the purport one important point about the devotee, which is that devotee is, Prabhupada quotes a verse from Bhagavad Gita that says, Tesham evanukampartam aham agnanajam tamaha nashayami atma bhavasto gnana deepena basvata. So, gnana deepena basvata. Basically, Krishna enlightens the knowledge in the heart of a devotee, like with a lamp of knowledge, like that, gnana deepa, like that. That's the emphasis Prabhupada is saying here, that devotee um, knows the best of everything, which is by the grace of Krishna. So that's why uh, devotees can understand any subject matter Prabhupada writes in the purport. So that's why Prabhupada is quoting his own example. He sometimes has to challenge the big scientists, big philosophers, but still Prabhupada still comes victorious. How is that? Prabhupada is sharing with us his consciousness. He's saying that is only possible because of Krishna's mercy. Because Krishna is giving the right understanding, right knowledge in the heart, and Krishna is inspiring him to speak the right things at the right time. So that is by Krishna's mercy, Srila Prabhupada was able to defeat so many philosophers, so many scientists in the understanding of uh, right, proper conception of life and spirituality also. So that is a consciousness. These are hints for us to develop the consciousness of a pure devotee. Like understand that whatever we are able to do, whatever we will to achieve in life is because of Krishna's mercy only. When we have that clear, then we'll never become proud. We'll not feel superiority complex. We'll feel happy to be serving everyone. We'll thinking, how can I serve this person? So he can serve Krishna. That is the mood of a devotee. Going to text number 5. Now, after Hiranyakaspi asked, what is the best thing you learned from teachers? Prahlad Maharaj starts to reply. His grace Burijan Prabhu describes Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur commentary, where he is telling what was Prahlad thinking. Oh, he's asking the best things I learned. Uh, I have Narad Muni also as my teacher. So I will tell generally what is the best in the world, I will tell him. Not necessarily whatever he learned from Sanda and Amarka. So that's how he is responding. And his grave response. He says, any person who has accepted this temporary body and temporary household life is certainly impressed by anxiety. So that means if somebody is thinking material life, this body is I am this body, and everything related to body, including my household life, is is my positions, and that is my goal of life. Taking care of my body, taking care of my family is the goal of life. If somebody is operating that with that principle, with material attachments like that, in terms of I and mine, then they will be in anxiety. Prahlad Maharaj is saying. Then he compares it to an analogy. What the analogy is giving? If somebody falls in a dark well, then they'll be suffering so much. Why are they suffering in the dark well? Because dark wells don't have water. And because they don't have water, then you get tired, you get hungry, you cannot even quench your hunger or thirst like that with water. If you fall in water, at least you have hope that you can drink some water at least. No, that all hope also is not there. And dark wells usually have some creatures like snakes and all that things. So it's dangerous and suffering will be there in a dark well like that. In the olden days, these wells used to be there because they used to dig some places, and if there's no water or water gone dried up, then they'll leave it like that by covering up with something. So that way people don't come there like that. So now, if somebody accidentally falls down, then because it's a dark well, other problem with the dark well is um, even if you shout help, 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 very hard for anybody to hear outside on the top on the yet like that. That's the other problem with that. So they're only suffering. So it's comparing somebody who's attached to materialistic household life only like that. So then what is the solution is giving? Such a person should go to forest vana. Which vana? Vrindavan, Prabhupada writes in the purport. And the verse itself he says, you should go to vana of Vrindavan. Vrindavana means vana of Vrindadevi, like that, Vrindavana. So where Krishna consciousness is prevalent everywhere. And what should he do once he go there? He should take shelter of Supreme Personality of Godhead. Like that, he says. So basically, Prahlad Maharaj is saying somebody who's very attached in a materialistic household life should take up Vanaprastha. His intention of telling go to Vana means take up Vanaprastha. From Grihastha life, in Vedic culture, Brahmachari, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, and Sannyasi. This is a gradual way of people progressing in terms of increased detachment in life, increased spiritual progress in life, like that. So he is saying take up Vanaprastha that way and take shelter of Krishna like that. That's what he is describing. In the purport, Prabhupada is touching on few different themes. This is an important purport to read today, verse number 5. One theme Prabhupada talks about is how a devotee like Prahlad Maharaj gets all the qualities, good qualities of Krishna, good qualities of demigods, by quoting a verse from fifth canto. Yasyasti bhaktir bhagavati akinchana sarvair gunes tatra samasate suraha arava bhaktasya kuto mahadguna manor nasati dhavato bahi. So this verse is talking about two things. One is, if somebody is situated in unalloyed devotional service, then they develop qualities of Krishna and demigods. Number one, first part. Second part is, if somebody is not situated like that, somebody is not devoted like that, somebody is a non-devotee, then what happens to them? Because they are on the platform of the mind with mental concoctions, they'll be leading their life. They will not have any good qualities like that. This verse is describing, because they are in the external feature of the, they are in the Mahamaya. They are controlled by Mahamaya. That's why they don't have good qualities like that. Prabhupada is emphasizing that point here. So now, mm, going to the second theme, Prabhupada is emphasizing the second theme of importance of Vanaprastha life. So all of us also need to consider how currently we're spending a large chunk of our time during the day. Some lot of hours is gone in sleep only, and then large chunk of our day is we're spending to earn money so that we can live properly and then continue our spiritual life also, right? So, but we need to aspire uh, at certain point of time. So not spend majority of our day in spend in earning money, but in cultivating spiritual life further for ourselves and for others also. Like that. That is the aspiration we all should have, because that is the Vedic culture. After Grihastha life, Vanaprastha life. Traditionally, it is done between 50 years of age and 55 years of age. But of course, because we did not know that before we got married, so that's why we had to make some adjustments in terms of the time frame when we do it. But we should all aspire to take Vanaprastha life at some point of time in this life. For example, in Vedic culture, the marriages were done very early. Then when you were done marriages are early, that means you're transitioning from brahmachari to grostha life very early. That means you will have children early. That means children will become settled very early. That means you can really, by 50 years of age, your real children are all settled, and you can take Vanapastha and fully focus on spiritual life instead, like that. So, but now people are getting married here later, people have children later. So that means some that principle is still intact, but details may need to be adjusted according to the time, place, and circumstance for each of our lives. That way, we need to aspire to take a Vanaprastha life. What does it mean to, how do we prepare for Vanaprastha life then? One time I asked my Guru Maharaj, he was sharing with me, first thing to do is practice our sadhana nicely right now. That is the most important thing we need to do. Number one. Number two, we can learn about what is Vanapastha life like. What does it mean to be Vanapastha? Like that, we can learn and understand and read and understand like that. That is the second aspect. Third aspect is we develop some spiritual taste in some spiritual activity. So right now I'm spending 7.5 to 8 hours in the office time doing work like that. Now, if you want to use at least several hours of that office time after I get retired to Vanapastha, I need to have some taste in something, whether it's chanting, whether it's hearing, whether it's reading, whether it's deity worship, or whether it's sharing Krishna consciousness with others. Some taste I need to develop. So like that, we can explore what area we will get taste in like that and develop the taste. So we're prepared for Vanapastha life. So in this purport, Prabhupada says, uh, in our Krishna conscious movement, therefore, we invite all the elderly persons of the world to come to Vrindavan and stay there in retired life, making advancement in spiritual consciousness, Krishna consciousness like that. Prabhupada is inviting all of us to go to Vrindavan and stay. Of course, in different purports in Srimad. That is why it's important to read Prabhupada books. If you read the whole Bhagavatam, Prabhupada says you should live in places like Vrindavan, you should live in places like Mayapur, you can live in any other holy place like that, he says, number one. And the same place he says, you can live in close to any temple, so you can do service there like that. That's also good thing like that he describes. So like that, principle is to dedicate more of our time in spiritual life. Detail is going to holy place or staying near a temple, staying inside a temple, whatever works like that. Details can vary. But the principle we need to catch. Going to text number 7, 6, number 6, Narmani is describing. So Prahlad Maharaj gave a punching answer. Go to Vrindavan and take shelter of Krishna. To whom? To Hiranyakashipu is giving that answer. He doesn't have any fear at all. Now, text number 6, he says, when Prahlad Maharaj spoke about the path of self-realization in devotional service, so Hiranyakashipu was laughing. He's thinking, this boy is a very child. He will learn whatever people tell, he will listen. No worries. He can be trained in whatever way I want. Some devotee happens to come here, they polluted his consciousness, polluted his intelligence by telling about my enemy Vishnu. That's why he's speaking like this. But if I make sure my teachers tell all the nonsense stuff to be atheistic, he will learn that also. He's a small child only. That's why his laughing is described by Acharyas here. So, but considering like that, he speaks in the next verse, seventh verse. He tells his assistants, my dear demons, give complete protection to this boy at the Gurukula so that the Vaishnavas may not come there. Vaishnavas may not interact with him. Vaishnavas may not pollute his intelligence. Like that, he's giving that instruction to them. Because he's thinking that is a child only. He just heard something, so he's speaking. Doesn't matter. If I make sure no more Vaishnavas come, he can be trained properly in atheistic way of living like that. That's his thought process. Prabhupada writes in the purport, comparing that situation of Hiranyakashipu, try to make sure no devotees come, no Vaishnavas come, like that, to meet his children. He's comparing to modern day society. He's saying, now also there are some people who have the Hiranyakashipu mentality. The moment they see sannyasi, the moment they see devotees, they don't want to interact with them. They'll make sure their family is not interacting with them like that. So that's society is still there like that source. So we need to we as devotees, we as preachers, we need to find ways and means to reach to the audience like that. Even if it means we wear a civil dress like this instead of wearing a devotee clothes like that, also is describing like that. Prabhupada is giving a practical preaching lessons for us. Don't get stuck in the detail, but stay in the principle like that. Now, text number 8. So, now Hiranyakashipu's demon servants took them to back to the Gurukula, where Sanda and Amarka the teachers. Now Sandhya and Marka thought, oh my God, who is polluting his intelligence? Who is telling this preaching? Who's preaching him all these things about devotional service? We don't want him to do devotional service. Let us find out who is teaching, so that when we find out, we'll get them punished by Hiranyakashipu. That is their thought process. With that thought process, they're talking very, very sweetly to Prahlad Maharaj. Oh, my dear Prahlad, you're such a nice boy. You don't speak lies. Tell us the truth only. Who polluted his intelligence for you? All your friends are also in the school. They're not talking like this. Only you are talking like this. So can you please tell who is speaking to you like this? Like that, they're sweetly talking to him with the understanding that this is a small boy. He will speak the truth if we tell him nicely, if we ask him nicely like that. That's the thought process in the next few verses. So then, um, yeah, that is the essence up to 10th verse. Coming to 11th verse. 11th verse, Prahlad Maharaj starts to respond. This is interesting section. You'll find more nectar in the next class Monday, where Prahlad Maharaj is responding back to this Sandha and Amarka's questions. So he says, let me offer my respectful obeisance to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's how he starts this response. And then he says, Supreme Lord's external energy, Mahamaya, creates this distinction of friend, enemy like that by deluding the intelligence of man. So far, I only heard about this, that some people think somebody is friend, somebody is enemy like that. But I'm personally seeing that now. Like that is responding basically. So Prabhupada writes in the purport, quoting the verse of Bhagavad Gita 5th chapter, that 18th verse, Vidya Vinay Sampanne Brahmane Gavi Hastine Sunichaiva Supakecha Pandita Samadarshinaha. Devotees is Samadarshina. Devotees has a quality of equanimity, seeing everyone equally. So how do we develop this quality of equanimity? When we start to learn to see that everyone is a spirit soul, everyone is part and parcel of Krishna, everyone is servant of Krishna. When we see that vision is irrespective of how somebody is behaving, irrespective of how somebody is dressed, irrespective of how somebody is practicing a different religion right now. Doesn't matter. If you don't see their external designations, external appearances, but see the core internal spirit soul as servant, then we see equality in everybody. Then we don't see friends and enemies like that. Even they're hating us right now, but we don't hate them. We don't want ill for them. We want the best for them. We want them to be reformed. We want them to become nice devotees and be happy in this life and after this life also. That's the consciousness we as devotees also need to cultivate. So I'll pause here. Already 7:36 late today. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kupasindubhyev cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Thank you, devotees. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Prabhu. Hare
Thank you.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank